Larry Shover joining us from the CME. Larry, always great to have you here. So when you look at the trade today, the spike in bonds on the report and then the follow through throughout the session, what do you make of it?
Well, yeah, as you said, we hit 52-week lows in yield, bounced off of that a little bit. What I make of it is that there's two things going on right now, and these are questions that are hard to answer. And the first one, is the economic data just catching up to the pessimism that's been built in the market for so long? That's a big deal, because that's telling on how much of a move we should have given poor data. And the second one is, what's it going to take to prompt a June cut? The pricing in 3 between now and the end of the year, but what would prompt Powell to move in June? And if you can answer those questions, then you can answer the question that you just asked.
So, Larry, I'm with you. And if you thought the market was getting greedy by asking for a cut this year at all, then if you look at now June and July chances, it looks almost kind of nuts. I'll play the, I guess, I don't know if it's out of consensus or whatever, contrarian, but how is Powell going to turn around and cut rates like this month or next month? All right, September, December, if the data slows down, clearly we're not getting any inflationary surprises, fine. If there's a market event or something, like that's a much more possible thing for me.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And I think one thing that could prompt, one thing you could do is actually have a June cut. That's definitely not my base case scenario. But he might take a page out of the history book from 1995 when that whole, cut and wait, and do a drastic cut then, as opposed to 1998 when they had 3 consecutive 25 basis points like the market is currently pricing. So I think that's something that, he definitely could do. Not my base case, but it would shock the market, and it would extract the most surprise value, putting liquidity back in the market. So it's not out of the realm. And also keep in mind that historically, a pause is like 6.6 months. If Powell can wait till July, he'll make it to 7, so past the historical average.
So is there, though, now a risk that he signals just kind of a contradiction within his own words? Because I don't see what's patient about hiking. I don't see what's patient about cutting within the next 2 months, right? And that was the word up until this week. It was patience. This is the first time in his statement he dropped patience.
I know, exactly. And I think that's why next week is so important. I can't wait until next week, because we have retail sales, CPI, both those numbers. Talk about transitory consumption, transitory inflation. If we have 2 bad numbers, actually 3 bad numbers in a row, then I think the game is up, and maybe the odds will rise for a unexpected rate cut coming in June.
What are the chances then? Let's say Powell cuts, all right? Let's say, well, hold on. Let's get to that first, Larry. Let me ask you this. Do you see the data as one that corroborates a data-driven cut, right? Because there's a market-driven cut where Powell might respond if we were in the midst of this broad sell-off. And then there's the lack of inflation cut, which, okay, but we only missed by a basis point. Yes, we had a weak employment number, but they've told us that, they're very comfortable with the employment situation. You'd have to have some kind of crazy turnaround for anybody to be worried about employment.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think from what I read, 75,000 ads, even though it missed by 100,000, 75,000 ads is healthy enough to keep the unemployment rate basically steady.
Exactly, yeah.
But to your question, back to your question, I think it's more data-driven, but also dependent on what's going on, especially in the Eurozone. I mean, I don't think it's much market-driven. December may have been, but I do think when you see what's going on in the Eurozone and with the German bunds at all-time lows right now in negative territory, I think that's adding more weight to the thinking of the Fed than it was perhaps in December.
All right, now for the hypothetical, all right? And here's where I'll leave you, Larry. What is the chance of a scenario in which the Fed cuts between now and the end of the year as a way to buoy growth, and then a tariff deal gets inked, all of a sudden all the CEOs who put their operations on hold kickstart the engines again, and global growth picks up, and suddenly we went from a cut to like a hike talk? I mean, that also seems to me like a very real possibility. I don't hear anybody even discussing.
Yeah, you're the first person I've heard actually discuss that. That would take half an hour to explain. I think Yeah, you're crazy, but we're all crazy, you know? But yeah, I think that's one of those things where it's definitely in the Fed's thinking. And that's why I think, I'm deeply convicted that he might do some kind of shock and awe where he cuts and waits as opposed to meeting the market's expectations of 3 cuts in a row. Because let's face it, put it this way, I think that optically the tariffs seem to be getting better, but they're really not. It's going to be going on for a long, long time, something you and I have discussed for months on end. So that in view, I think that's going to really stymie global growth, and we're seeing that play out right now. So anybody's guess, and what you said definitely is plausible.
Yeah. All right, there we go. We're crazy together. Larry Shover, CIO at Efficient Advisors. Nice work this week, as always, Larry, on the Bond Talk.